Hey guys, welcome back. So finally here's the review of this masterpiece. I finally got my holy grail. If you have told me 5 years ago that I would have this in my collection, I would have never believed you. But again, sometimes when you work hard, your dreams can be true. So again, today we're gonna review the Primon Studios. This is the Jungle Hunter Predator. This is the deluxe bonus. So stick around, it's gonna be a long video. But again, I have a lot of stuff to show you guys. Also, I'm gonna show you by the end of the video, I'm gonna tell you guys how much I've paid for this guy, because again, this is definitely the most expensive thing here in my collection. So yeah, stick around. Also, make sure you subscribe, give me a like to the video. It's been a year since I've making videos on YouTube. So big thanks to you guys, it means a lot to me. Thanks so much for the support. So yeah, stick around and let's start this video. Okay, so as I show you guys in the unboxing, the statue comes with this nice booklet here, a lot of steps. Although I didn't need this one, the only thing I did use this instructions booklet for is assembling the plans. Now, even if they kind of show you here vaguely where each plan goes, it's still not very, I guess, easy to understand their steps. So I kind of looked at other videos, so mine is not 100% perfect, but again, who cares? It's only planned. So yeah, it pretty much shows you pretty much everything you get with the statue. Again, this is the deluxe bonus, so you get a few extra goodies which are included in here, including Mac's skull. You have the extra long wrist blades, which are awesome. Those are die cast. I'm gonna show you guys pretty much all the individual pieces here. Again, not in as much detail as I did in the unboxing, but I'm gonna show you guys here. So yeah, pretty cool. Also, what was included, you have this pamphlet. Again, this I think is from like 2 or 3 years old, and they they also included here the 2023 calendar, which is pretty cool. Again, man, I really do want the City Hunter next. It's gonna be very hard to get because this guy is very rare in comparison to the Jungle Hunter, which made quite a few of. So yeah, let's take a look at the heads. Okay, and first one here is the masked portrait, which is my favorite look, obviously, of the figure. Although I do like the other unmasked head sculpt as well, but this is obviously the first time. When you see the Predator, this is what you see. And again, I like the whole concept of the movie. I remember the first time I saw the movie with my parents. It was on a weekend. It was airing on TV back in the early 2000s. And I remember I saw the trailer and I was so intrigued by this creature design, because obviously throughout the beginning of the movie you don't really see him. It's pretty much like invisible, and then the first glimpse you see him, I remember these menacing eyes as they got yellow, or I think was it Carl Weathers who saw the creature for the first time in the movie, or was Mac, but Mac saw like the invisible version. But so yeah, I think Carl Weathers was the first character to actually see how the Predator looks. He was kind of hanging on the tree. And I remember I was so intrigued. I was also asking myself, what's underneath the mask, man? And I think that that's why the end of the movie is so powerful, because I think everyone, including myself, was asking like, what the fuck is underneath the mask? And I mean, Stan Winston, I mean, man, God bless his soul. He made some of the best creature effects on the planet from the 80s and 90s. I mean, I think a big problem with Hollywood nowadays is their creature design. They don't hold up as they used to back in the day. A lot of the designs are very weak, especially when you look at the vampires, the werewolves nowadays, in comparisons to what they look into the 80s and 90s. I mean, it's very bad. So I think that's one of the reasons why the Predator here, the Yautja design, stood for so many years. I think the design was so advanced for its time. And I mean, this creature is no exception. I mean, what Stan Winston and his team did, creating like the whole dread looks, with the dreads, the mask. Obviously the mandibles were inspired by James Cameron, as Stan Winston and himself and James were on the plane. I believe they were, flying to Japan to promote a movie, and then as Stan Winston was sketching the designs for the Predator, James Cameron always said, you know, he said to him like, oh, I always wanted to see something with mandibles, and that's why, you know, the Predators have mandibles, is because of James Cameron. And I mean, such a great design here. This is obviously the clean mask, as I like to call it, because there's no like 3D effects. Everything is printed on the mask. So as you can see, all the lines, the silhouette, very accurate to the movie. And that's pretty much what I sent in the unboxing video. Is a lot of companies still have trouble of, you know, making a very movie accurate biomask from especially the first Predator movie. I think a lot of companies, what they do is, this part is too narrow, you know, it has to be wide enough, you know, especially like the lens right there has to be a gap, you know, in between the top and bottom, just like that right there. That's very movie accurate. The mesh inside, again, a lot of companies have difficulty of doing that, which is weird, because again, nowadays with internet and everything, you have access to a lot of, you know, screenshots and everything. I think Sideshow back in the day, when they did their maquette, one quarter scale maquette, they did a pretty good job on the statue, because they were pretty much partnering with Stan Winston. So I think that was pretty accurate. But you know, the one they made a couple years ago was pretty much very bad. So yeah, as I was saying, a big fan of the movie. I think this one holds up very well. My favorite movie from the 80s, my favorite science fiction movie ever, and my favorite science fiction character ever. I mean, in terms of the design, is second to none. I'm gonna show you guys the full statue in a couple of minutes. You're gonna be blown away. So as I said, I remember the first time I watched this movie. Again, what a masterpiece, from obviously 1987 with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think the cast is second to none. I think everything works about the movie is a complete masterpiece. I mean, the characters and the monster design is very cool. I like how obviously they filmed the jungle, which was very hard to shoot because of the angles of the terrain, was very complicated. Also, for those who don't know, Jean-Claude Van Damme was supposed to be the Predator, in a very weird suit. Thank God for that didn't happen. And Kevin Peter Hall pretty much was recommended by Stan Winston because of his height and size. And I think, you know, him inside the suit, you know, made this excellent, you know, creature come to life. And again, I remember as a kid, like some of my first drawings of the Predator design, because again, as a kid, I love to draw, even nowadays as an adult. I remember the first drawing that I did was like, you know, the whole, you know, when the Predator sand go and fetches the dead scorpion. That's one of the first drawings I did as a kid. I remember it was it's amazing, such a great memories, obviously, seeing this movie. So let's take a closer here look at obviously the head. Again, this is, like I said, it's the painted version. So obviously Primon also did like another mask, which I'm gonna show you guys, and that's what was on the prototype. Later on, obviously, some of the fans complained and they gave us this mask also, which is cool. So you have two options, pretty much like their quarter scale statue. So again, this is like the painted look. And also what's amazing, you can see all the colors. It's not just silver, there's some blacks, you know, there's battle damage, there's green tinges that I like a lot. Again, very movie accurate. Again, mine came with a small little imperfection right there, which I'm gonna take care of next month. I'm gonna send that to a professional painter, because I obviously want this to be like perfection. This is the most accurate collectible I have in the room. So again, but again, fantastic shape. Again, that's very movie accurate. How the mask wraps on the head. Again, even not the mandibles, the dreadlocks. Again, these are a soft, again, softer-ish. They're pretty hard, but they are pliable if you're taking a heat gun, which I might have to do. But again, posing this on the statue is not a problem. The only issue is, as you can see, they are a little bit flat. They need more volume. So in order to achieve that look, you pretty much have to heat them up and kind of spread them apart a little bit more. But as you can see, they are very nice. I appreciate the fact that these are vinyl and not, you know, resin like on their older Predator figures, because the issue with that is they would have pretty much, I think, you know, cracked some of their core scale figures. You know, they had like resin dreads, and inside the box or when you're taking them out, the dreads would have broken like at the bottom. So again, this is pretty cool. They're pliable, so that's very cool. Again, taking a look here, the paint application is again second to none. It's very detailed, as you can see, all the highlights. I like how it's painted, very fresh. Again, you have the gloss on top of the head right there. Again, very cool. And again, these heads are very heavy. Again, they come with like 3 bottom bases, which is awesome because now you can display all their heads on these. Again, these have a sticker underneath. They're very solid, very nicely detailed. Again, just the weight of this thing on the base is like heavier than my 3.0 premium scale Optimus Prime, which has a lot of die cast. And again, that thing is massive. It's like 20 inches tall. These as is, they're about 9 inches tall to the top of the head. But yeah, very massive, as you can see. This is obviously, they say that it's 3rd scale, but I think it's actually a little bit bigger than that. I'm gonna show you guys and talk to about the proportions and the size later on the video. But it's not too bad, even if it's like close to half scale. I don't mind that. I don't have other statues that are on the same shelf as this guy because it's very massive. So okay, and here's the other mask. As I said, this is pretty much what the pre-order was. This is the mask that they showed. As you can see, the design on this is actually like, has a 3D effect. It's almost like it's sculpted inside the mask, versus this one that's pretty much painted on. As you can see, the paint application is very different from one mask to another. This has more green into it, where this one is very metallic, as you can see. And also you have the light up feature. Again, in order to remove the you have to remove the mask, and then underneath you have that compartment which is held in place with the strong magnet. As you can see, there's the small button, and then once you press that, you have the laser right there. Also like how accurate the wires are. You have 4 wires right there, 1 on the bottom and 3 on the top. Another cool detail, obviously when Kevin removed the mask in the movie, you know, he's putting the fingers to remove his mask. These was actually attached to the base, so he pretty much removed the wires from there, and not like obviously the mask is connected like to the back, so that's just a small inaccuracy, but you cannot remove the wires from the mask. You pretty much you know, it has to be detached from here. Again, it's not a big deal, but again, very cool mask as well. Not necessarily movie accurate, but again, it's cool to have. This is very similar to the color scale that they did a couple of years ago, the big game, which again, that was is also hard to find, that statue. I know a local collector who has that. He sent me a few pictures and I think it looks cool. I'm a big fan of that statue's base. I think it looks cool with all the skulls and everything, the rock formation. So yeah, cool mask right there. Again, very accurate proportions to the movie. Some small details here which I wasn't aware of. As you can see, at the bottom of the mask you have pretty much 2 holes right there, so I'm not sure if that's movie accurate. I have to look at the behind the scene, but it's pretty cool to have. Again, not sure of the accuracy, but it's cool to see on the bottom of the mask. I also think the City Hunter has those same details on the bottom, so again, let me know in the comments below if you guys know what those are supposed to be. And here's the Gort mask again. This wasn't used in the movie, but there's a couple of behind the scenes when you can see him wearing this mask. Again, it's pretty cool design. I actually like it. I know a lot of the fans, the collectors who got the statue, and again, this is part of the deluxe edition, so if you're buying the regular, this is not going to be included. And again, if you're a die-hard Predator fan, I think you need this mask. This is such a cool history. And again, one of the producers, Joe Silver, when he saw the mask, he said to Stan Winston that the mask is kind of almost giving the look away of the Predator, of what he looks inside. You can actually see that a little bit here with kind of like, these are kind of like mandibles designed. So they have actually scrapped this design and went to the more smooth version that we all know and love. But again, this is, again, we saw this mask again in Predator 2. You know, one of the characters from the Lost Tribes who actually has this mask, so it's pretty cool. Again, I like the whole aggressiveness of the mask. It's a lot more detailed than the first one, and I also think it's because of this mask that they pretty much created the Celtic Predator off. It's based on this design. Again, very biomechanical and aggressive. I like it. Again, this one doesn't have the wires, but again, I like the mesh on the eyes. This one is a little bit different, almost as if this one has like a blue purple hinge inside the mask, so you have like a clear, you know, plastic visor, but you have the like the mesh inside, which is accurate. Again, you have battle damage on this one as well, as you can see, some scorch marks, some scratches, but very massive, as you can see. Compared to my hand, these are very massive heads. As you can see, you have the dreads again, very nice, and you have this almost like spaceship reminiscent base right there. Again, same paint applications as you know, on the head. So yeah, very cool. I like the profile shot on this one. Again, very again, looks like almost like the Celtic mask again, which was based on this. I like the whole jaw right there. Again, very cool. I'm gonna show you guys this design again on how it looks on the statue. Yeah, speaking of the Gort mask being in Predator 2, as you can see, just for a size comparison, that's the head right there, dwarfing the NECA figure, as you can see. So, as I said, in Predator 2, if you pay attention at the end of the movie, the Guardian Predator is the one that has like the Gort mask. So Stan Winston, when he created the 9 Predators at the end, he took that mask and, you know, pretty much slap it into this character. And again, most of these, the Lost Tribe, were mostly like, for those who don't know, were like you know, members from like a basketball team, because they wanted like tall guys. So that's pretty much cool. I think they were like the Lakers basketball team from Los Angeles. But again, as you can see, Stan Winston reused the mask to create this one, which is cool. And I think there's another one, the Scout is one of the members who has like the classic mask design, you know, that they use from the first movie. So I think it's pretty cool. So again, just like I said, the mask from the originals was reused, or at least the cast was reused, you know, to create the Skull Predator again. This is one of the members that you see from the Lost Tribes at the end of the movie, and I think that's pretty cool that they've included the original's mask. Again, fits the character very well. So that's very nice detail here. Okay, so if you watched my Pumpkinhead video that I did last year, you know that I have the Stan Winston Bible here, the Stan Winston, the art of the history of Stan Winston Studios. Again, if you're you know, a Predator fan, Terminator fan, Aliens, Jurassic Park, whatever, you need this book. This is awesome. It's filled with a lot of details. So if we go here and take a look at the Predator section at page, what was it, 100 here, you see pretty much the evolution of the design, as you can see right there. This is what the sketches from Stan Winston. As you can see, at first the creature didn't have mandibles quite like it has obviously on the original design here. As you can see, again, this was inspired by James Cameron. What's also interesting, you can see there, it almost looks like he has like a snake tongue, which is nice design. But again, here, again, some designs at the shoulder cannon, which actually, what's funny about this was a hair dryer, believe it or not. They just sculpted stuff and make it cool. Man, I like, you know, movie making in the 70s and 80s. Like, they didn't have a lot of money, so what they just used shit around the house and, you know, sculpted stuff around it and painted metallic and just call it a day. I like that a lot. Again, some of the sculpting there on the suit. And again, the guy right there, there was actually a reunion video that they made a couple years ago on YouTube. And I think this guy was responsible for making the netting on the body. And again, he was afraid that he was losing a job because they did such a great you know, job of painting the body. And he came up with the idea of actually adding netting, which created like an intelligence to the Predator, almost like he has clothing. And again, in terms of the lore, a lot of people think that the netting is what gives the, you know, the Predator the ability to cloak, which it's such a shame that we don't see that, you know, with the previous Predator movies. I think that was taken away. We haven't seen that since like the Predator in 2018. All the other Predators after, they pretty much removed the netting. With, I think it's the same, you know, same with like the trinkets around the, you know, the bones and everything. I like when the Predator has trophies around him. And what's interesting, back in the first, when they did the first movie, I think Stan Winston and his team went to like a taxidermist shop and buy pretty much a lot of bones, reptiles, birds, you know, mammals and whatnot. Again, there's a shot of Kevin Peter Hall inside the suit right there. Fantastic. Again, I like to see this like behind the scenes. It's very cool to see. Again, with the classic mask. And as you can see, here is the prototype mask again. Just like our little friend right there. And I also like how the mandibles are poking right there. I'm not sure how accurate that is because you don't see that in this picture right here. But as you can see, in terms of details, just look at that, how crazy it is. Wow, guys, they even managed to put those like two small dots right there on the jaw. As you can see right there. I mean, the sculpt is superb, guys. What they were able to achieve. Obviously, this is a bigger scale, so you can cram a lot more details. As you can see, lovely shot right there from behind the scenes. And this is obviously the mask that we all know and love, the more classic. As you can see right there, awesome, awesome. You can see the only thing that I can see, actually, the hero suit has these quills right there on the side, and that's not included into the statue. So I think it's a little bit of a bummer, but it's not a big deal. And again, and for the people who say that he doesn't have this, I don't know what you would call this, that small tassel right there on his waist. As you can see, it's very movie accurate. So that's part of the design of the suit. But again, what a crazy design, man. Fantastic. Okay, so let's take a look at this amazing unmasked, should I say, head sculpt right there. Again, this is, I think when you get the regular, this is the one you get. Yes, the deluxe one has a semi-closed look. And speaking of that, they also released a closed mandible version. But again, you have to spend like another $1,000. It's pretty much like a closed mouth head sculpt with like a bust. So I think that's kind of crazy. I might get that one day, but again, I'm not in a hurry, just because I'm pretty much sure now on the secondary market that thing is more expensive. So again, just take a quick look here. Taking my time because again, this is the most special collectible in my room here. Such a privilege to have this. And again, who knew, like, you know, when I was growing up. Again, my first Predator collectible was the McFarlane one from 2004, the Jungle Hunter. And again, 22 years later, you know, I get this incredible 1/3 scale masterpiece. And again, just look at the mandibles. Like, they use like this clear, you know, resin. So they have you can see like the lights actually passes through. If I can move the light closer, you can see like the shininess inside the mandible, like the accuracies, obviously, of the proportion of the jaws right there. Very accurate. You know, the quills, which is something that Hot Toys needs to address on their 1/3 scale version, because they were pretty much done is sculpt these quills. So I think they have to do what Prime did. So essentially, rather than putting the mask on the face, they should have done pretty much like a, you know, a separate head sculpt with the quills. So that way you don't have any compromises when it comes to the design. So now you have like a separate mask that's more detailed, that you can put it on his hand or on the base. And then you have like a separate sculpt that, you know, has the mask on. So I think that's the best way to do it. But again, just look at those eyes right there. Obviously, Kevin and Peter had contact lenses. I think they had like a purple hue, you know, around them, and then yellowish, as you can see. But again, the paint application and the glossiness and the patterns on the head, it's like second to none. This is definitely like the best statue representation of the Jungle Hunter out there. Now, I would say it's the best Predator collectible ever, but again, that's debatable, because I know a lot of fans like maybe the CD Hunter better, or the Berserker, or maybe the upcoming Wolf from you know, a Prime one. But again, this is such an amazing job. Again, you have the dreads on this one as well, which are very nicely, you know, assembled. Again, they are like a hard vinyl, but again, if you use heat, you can pretty much, you know, make it more flexible. And again, they are kind of sculpted in a way they kind of fit on the body. It would have been cool if these were like rubberized, so you can pretty much, you know, rearrange them yourself. But again, it's not bad how they are. They are fantastic. And you have the accuracy. You have 3 beads per you know, dread right there, as you can see. You have the gold design. And again, just the size of the crest and the details, this is spot on. And again, the details inside the mouth. Yes, that looks very, should I say, you know, very feminine. What's inside the mouth right there. But yeah, the veins are insanely sculpted, and again, I like the proportions. I think they went back and sculpted like the mouthpiece, especially like the bottom teeth right there. If you go on their website, you can see like they rearranged the position of the bottom teeth right there, which again, nice glossiness, like the acrylic. You can see right there the small veins. This thing is so alive. Okay, so let's take a look at some comparisons here from the actual stills of the movie. Again, it's gonna be a little bit difficult to show because obviously the lighting is not the same. But if we start here with the top of the head, you look at some of the patterns here on my phone. Again, not the best quality of pictures, but you know, you get the idea. The whole proportions, like in between the eyes and like the mandible. I mean, that's pretty freaking close right there, as you can see. You know, I mean, this head sculpt is fantastic. Again, this is like the open mouth. There is like a closed mouth, as I said, and like a semi-open mouth, which was a part of the deluxe edition. But yeah, proportion-wise, it's phenomenal. Such a unique creature design. Wow, this thing is a beast. Again, I'm a big fan of the quills all over the face. You have a couple of them here, there, and on the brow, which is amazing. Again, I like the proportions here. Again, awesome creature here by Stan Winston himself. And here's the other head sculpt, the semi-closed look. Again, look at that stare, guys. Holy shit, this is realistic. Again, this head sculpt reminds me like when Arnold hits him in the face and he's like kind of twitching, he's looking at him and then he hits him back. That's what this expression reminds me. And again, it's kind of cool because usually when other companies do like unmasked predators, they usually have like the open mouth like this one, which is very aggressive, but this one it's kind of unique. And as you can see, the mandibles are kind of different, like they're not in the same position, as you can see. Like for instance, this one is a little bit wider. So yeah, awesome look right there. But again, those eyes, very realistic. I'm not sure if those are painted, or I think they are painted. I mean, that's no way that those are stickers. Again, it's quite difficult to see here. Let me just adjust my lighting. There you go. It's a little bit better right here. But yeah, what such a great job again. A similar head, as you can see. Let me just put this one closer. But even this is very cool because you can see obviously these head sculpts are hand painted. You can kind of see they have variations in the paint. But the sculpt, they are similar. Obviously the biggest difference are in the mandibles, like the position. But yeah, I'm not sure which is my favorite. I kind of like this one. It kind of look more sinister, like the position of the eyes and everything. But yeah, I love those quills. And the sculpting, the paint application. Obviously in the movie he was more like a banana color, beige. But this one is very accurate, as you can see, the whole snarl right there. Again, the only thing would have been cool to see is maybe adding some drips, some translucent resin, because in the movie this guy was obviously wet. He had saliva everywhere, so pretty much on the bottom of the mandibles, like inside there. But again, it's not a big deal. I'm just nitpicking here because this thing is almost perfect. And again, the dreadlocks are cool. Again, look at that right there. I mean, this is 100%. Again, my biggest issue, obviously, in the recent movies, when you see a Predator, I think pretty much every company that does the Predator, either ADI or somebody else, they always have the difficulty with like how the mandible stretches, as you can see. This is very accurate. I think Stan Winston was the only one who did it right, because he was basically the one who created the monster. But for some reason, even if you look at the Predators from 2010, the classic had a weird like bend in the you know, mandible right here, which was kind of like I guess a rubber material in the movie, or some kind of latex maybe. I think that was bad. Same thing with the Scarp Rider in AVP. Though those had weird, very weird mandibles, and I think they open way too wide. Whereas in the first one, as you can see, this is pretty much the max. They opened, as you can see, very nice right there. So yeah, again, this is the deluxe head sculpt. You only get this with the deluxe edition. Okay guys, and there's the beast fully assembled. And just to give you guys an idea on how big this is, because it's hard to kind of, you know, showcase. As is on the base, is about 36 inches tall. So if I can just pan here and show you guys the other shelves. I mean, that Optimus Prime is 20 inches tall. This is not even funny, look at that. And he's taking pretty much like 2 shelves. Again, that guy which I just reviewed, it's 28 inches across. Look at that. Even, let me just take a NECA box here for comparison. Look at that, it's almost at the size of his head. Again, this thing is like 8 inches tall inside the box, but look at that, that's not even funny, man. I mean, you really have to see this guy in person, because it's not just the height, it's like the width. I mean, just look at the hips, for instance. You know, I cannot even put my hands around it, that's how big it is. It's like bigger than my waist. It's insanely huge, guys. So yeah, I had a friend visit a couple days ago, and when he actually saw the resin here, he actually told me like, is that real water? I mean, that's how insane the base is. Again, very thick. I would say that's about, I don't know, probably 2 inches thick right there. And again, I have mine on Lazy Susan, you know, which I recommend. I got like pretty much like the biggest Lazy Susan I could find on Amazon. It's like a 16-inch wide one, and that it can support like upwards of 200 pounds. It was a little bit scary putting that on at first, because I wasn't sure how heavy the statue is, but it's about 130 pounds. So yeah, this is amazing. So let's start with the base. Again, most people have a lot of difficulties putting the base in, because you have to insert the legs. This one has a very big, thick peg. It's about this big. It's fully die cast, but the other one is very small. And the issue is that a lot of people have is, you know, you have to be actually two to align everything in. If you don't, if you're not careful, you pretty much, you can snap the toes off. Those are, as you can see, they're poking out, and you don't have a lot of room. So again, if you saw my unboxing, I was saying again that the seller pretty much was gracious enough to bring the statue to my house, and I asked him if he could you know, help me assemble it. He hesitated at first, because he said, you know, if something breaks, I'm not going to be responsible, which is totally fine. Again, it's my statue. So again, he helped me, and it probably took like, I don't know, 30-40 seconds at most. It took us like 2 shots and we have it. And again, it was so satisfying putting him on. I didn't have any issues, again, in comparison to other people. But again, this is pretty much like a bitch to put on if you're alone. I would recommend, you know, finding a friend to help you with this, because, you know, it can pretty much damage your statue or the base. But yeah, speaking of the base, look at all those details right there. You can see the reflections. You have those nice fishes in there. I'm not sure if this is 100% accurate to the movie, because in the movie, when he drops his mask and his equipment, the water was pretty much murky, so you cannot see anything inside. Plus his like feet were covered. But I like the whole design here. The only issue is, again, is the conception with how you plug his feet inside. Pretty much what I should have done is either put 2 pegs that has the same size as this one, which is like very thick, or that one, remove the small peg and just magnetize it to the base. That would have been, you know, a little bit easier. But coming here, you can see the scorpion, which is a nice Easter egg of the movie. You have that nice rock right there. Again, look at my unboxing if you want to know pretty much how to assemble the base. It's pretty easy. Again, this log right there is magnetized. You have some plants, which are a bitch to put on, because the instructions are not that accurate, and they're not very helpful when it comes to the plants. Again, coming around here, I mean, fantastic. Obviously sculpt. That tree is a separate part. You have obviously have the dog tags right there, Hopper's dog tags, which are part of the bonus version. And you do have a snake right there. Let me find the snake. He's kind of in between the leaves right there. Not sure if you can see. Kind of pokes. But a big issue that I have with the snake, as you can see, you can kind of see his head right there. is that it's not accurate to the movie. I just watched the movie again, and the snake that you see in the movie is pretty much a python. I'm not sure why they put like a random kind of venomous snake. It's not really accurate to the movie. It's not a big deal again, but again, it would have been cool if the snake was a little bit bigger, that he could actually poke throughout the plants. Maybe it's my fault because the plants are not like in the best position, but I kind of like how he's poking right there. It's kind of cool. Nice Easter egg. I like the whole sculpt of the base, but again, as I said in the unboxing, the beige part right there of the wood is a little bit soft. That would have needed more detail, maybe more paint application, but other than that, I think the base is exceptional. Again, you can pretty much put the tag wherever you want, and the plants, they don't need to be in the same spot. But as you can see, this thing is massive. It's like 27 inches, you know, deep. Luckily, I was able to get, you know, a different garage shelves. Again, these ones are 18 inches wide, but these ones are like 24. So I had a few inches to spare here. As you can see, it's not coming off that much. Maybe a lot more on the back right there, but again, I have enough space towards where I can actually rotate, you know, the statue with ease, and I have no issues. Again, the plants are kind of, you know, poking out right there. They're kind of hitting the wall, but it's not a big deal. So my plan here for the future is get a movie poster and maybe buy some more like leaves, fake leaves, and kind of put them on each side right there. I think that's gonna fill out the space a little bit more. It's gonna look badass. And here, this is again part of the deluxe bonus. You have like Max Skull. And speaking of that, I think in the movie when he got hit, it was on this side of the head, and I think part of the head actually blow up. So I'm not sure how accurate this is to the movie, but nonetheless, it's a very cool accessories to have. Very big, as you can see right there to my hand. And again, give you guys a comparison right there with Optimus. This thing is massive. And again, if you want to see next to 1/6 scale figure, here's the Sand Trooper Sergeant. As you can see, this thing is ridiculous. Even with the dewback right there, which is a big piece. You know, very nice in detail. Again, you have the scorch mark right there from the laser cannon. He's missing some teeth right there. And again, the details are insane. Again, very nice and hefty piece. So moving on here with the statue. Again, some collectors say that this is not accurate. It is. I was talking about this earlier on the review. This is very accurate. The only issue is, again, it's a little bit too long. So what I should have done is maybe tuck this inside, because you pretty much have to assemble this. As I said in my unboxing, I think this could have been wrapped a little bit more. And to be accurate, the movie needs to be like this long, pretty much like that. So again, it's a little bit too long, but it's accurate. Again, this belt right here, satchel material, whatever it's called, the leathery bits, this you have to kind of tuck in, you know, inside his armor. Here you have the little bit of room. Again, same thing here. You have to put this inside. The belt magnetizes. I didn't have issues with that. As you can see, it's pretty snug. So that's very cool. Again, all the skulls, like I said, these were real skulls in the movie of different animals. This one looks to be like a snake, but again, fantastic, very accurate. And again, like I said, in the movie he had quills like on the side right there, but it's not a big deal. The only thing I can complain about is maybe the size of the tassels. They are right there. I think they are a little bit too short. These need to be a little bit thicker. Because in the movie I think they're like, you know, maybe towards there. And again, same thing here on the legs. They're a little bit too short, but again, that's not a big deal. Again, this one lights up. I don't have the batteries for this, unfortunately. There's a strong magnet right there. And again, mine has like a small paint issue right there. It's not a big deal, because most of the time this is gonna be closed. But again, this has a strong magnet. There we go. Again, the cannon, fantastic. Look at that right there. Boom, has a battery. There's the button right there. Again, I'm going to show you guys all the options with this one. This is the cannon up version. There's also a version that the cannon is down, kind of towards the end of the movie. And again, if I can rotate this guy, this is the other mask, the more detailed one. As you can see, right, look how badass that is. I mean the whole statue, guys. Oh my god, I cannot believe this is in my collection. Wow, this looks unbelievable, guys. Let me just put the lights here closer a little bit. There we go. And again, this is part of the DX. You have Billy's spine right there. Again, very nasty. And you know, it feels wet, like the details. You have tendons and meat. You know, and this thing is insane. The only thing is like it's facing the other way, so it's kind of difficult to see. Maybe if I can get right there, you can kind of see it better. Again, I have the, you know, the long wrist blades. I guess technically these are like, there's even longer than this. If you get the DX, I'm gonna show you guys all the, you know, different sizes here, but I like, these are my favorite one. Again, and they are die cast, they're pretty heavy, which is cool right there. They're very cool to the touch. Again, the gauntlets here, they did some modifications with the gauntlets. I believe also like the position of the cannon. I mean, look how accurate that is. It's almost like he's coming out of the, you know, the movie right there. Very accurate. And the whole proportions to the head, you know, versus the body ratio, it's just excellent, guys. And again, the whole size and weight, it's insane how big this is in person, guys. I cannot believe it's finally in the collection. Wow, look at that right there. The backpack again is very detailed. This just magnetized on the back. And you can also have the look without the cannon. Again, I'm going to show you. This just plugs in right there. You know, there's a wire from the backpack that goes underneath the cannon right there. You have all the correct wires from the movie. And this is sculpted resin, so be careful. This is more pliable right here. But again, the details. You have the spine right there, which may be too big, too thick. I know in the movie it starts big and then it goes smaller towards the back right there. Look at that, the attention to the details. You know, the mesh is a separate, you know, sculpt. I mean, it's not sculpted, it's like it's a cloth material. Come in here, as you can see. So it does have some mixed media, obviously. This little, you know, attachment. This is like a leather piece. This is like, you know, a string material. The leaves are gonna be plastic. And I believe on his back right there, on his butt, this is like genuine leather, so it's not gonna damage over time. Just the sheer presence of this guy is unbelievable, man. Wow, what a beast. And here's the other mask, obviously my favorite, the more movie accurate version, and you need 2 AAA batteries, again, that go in the mask. So that's very cool. A pretty cool light up. I think, is it me or the light at the top is a little bit stronger than the two on the bottom? That's what it looks when I'm looking at it directly. Maybe on the camera is a little bit different, but yeah, pretty cool light. Again, and you have this one right there, which is kind of dying. The other day I forgot to shut it off and it's probably was on for a couple of hours. But yeah, incredible statue, guys. This thing is my holy grail. Again, very expensive. I'm gonna talk about the price later on. But yeah, wow. Also, the other issue is this thing came in 3 boxes. If you saw my unboxing, it's massive. It's, you know, I almost ran out of space just acquiring this guy in terms of boxes, even though I sold quite a bit of, you know, figures to acquire this one. But again, it was worth it. Like, wow. So yeah, let's have a look with the unmasked head sculpts on this thing. Yeah, see how he looks. And this is how he looks when you remove his face, either to put like the detail mask or the more accurate mask. And it's quite funny, you have a blank face right there, but they took the time to actually sculpt underneath. You can see like the mandibles below, so it's pretty cool. Again, it's pretty easy to assemble because, you know, the dreads are kind of pre-sculpted to kind of fit how he looks. But again, would have been cool. I might actually heat these up to kind of poof them out just a little bit more, because they look a little bit flat, especially if you're looking at right there in front. On the side it looks pretty cool. So yeah. Wow, guys, this is the first time that I'm putting the unmasked head sculpts on, and wow, this thing is alive. Look at that right there. Again, my only nitpick again when putting these are gonna hit the armor. Thankfully They're not hard resin, otherwise they're gonna break. But this might cause some paint rub on the figure, the statue should I say. So again, be very careful about that. As you can see there, I forgot to show you guys, you know, the quills right there, again, very movie accurate. Again, you also have some on the chest right there. But again, that head sculpt right there, this thing looks alive right there. Wow. Again, those eyes, again, they're a little bit hard to see. They're kind of hidden right there because he has a big brow. Look at that right there, very accurate to the movie. Those looks exactly like the contact lenses that Kevin Peter Hall had in the movie. So again, very accurate. Look at that. And again, here's the look with the other shoulder cannon. I think this one is the exclusive that comes with the deluxe. So you have that pretty much look right there from like, it's almost like towards the end of the movie when the shoulder cannon got damaged. You know, when he got attacked by Arnold. And then he was resting like that just before, you know, he removed his mask. And again, this is how the other one looks. Again, these are not too heavy. They almost look like PVC. So again, you have that look right there, where previously was like that. So you get the idea. Again, it's not too bad. I don't think a lot of people are gonna use this look. But again, it's a cool option. Again, I'm not gonna complain because we got a lot of stuff with the deluxe bonus, even with the deluxe. So I think the more stuff you get, the better it is, because again, this thing was very expensive, guys. Again, originally, if you get him from Prime 1, is like $3,000 for the deluxe bonus. Sideshow was like $3,500, and shipping alone from Prime 1, I think a lot of the collectors said, obviously after COVID, the shipping price went insane. So most people got hit with like $1,500 in shipping alone. So then you're looking about $4,500 for the statue itself, which is ridiculous. Again, I didn't pay that much, I got a good deal. But wow. So yeah, this is this look. Let's look at the other head sculpt. Okay, so this one was a little bit more difficult to install, just because some of the dreadlocks on the back were kind of hitting the armor. But what I would recommend when you're putting the ones with the mandibles, the open masks, what I mean is make sure you remove the cannon. It's gonna be a little bit easier, and be very careful when putting the heads, because there's not a lot of, you know, room between the mandible and the backpack. It's like a millimeter or two, so there's not a lot of room. So make sure not to damage the head. As you can see, it's very flush right there. But yeah, this thing is, I mean, I cannot decide what head I prefer. As you can see, it looks badass right there. Very menacing looking. Boom, look at the details. I mean, Jesus Christ. Easily the most detailed collectible in my room. But very worth it. Again, it would have been cool to have maybe an extra head sculpt with like some saliva, but it's not a big deal, again, like I said. And again, there's another head sculpt out there. There's like the closed mouth version, which is sold separately. There's also like a battle damage version that you can put with your Berserker Predator, since like the classic and the Juggle Hunter are kind of similar individuals. But yeah, wow, this thing looks sick again. Wow, the proportions, everything. I mean, usually there's always something for me to criticize, but again, and again, I'm not saying this because I'm a huge Predator fan, because I am, but I cannot fault the head sculpt. It's that good, guys. It's insane. You know, when most people say this is the best Jungle Hunter Predator out there in terms of statue form, I mean, this is it. This is as accurate as you can get to the real thing, unless if you're buying maybe like a life-size bust or something. But again, wow. Even that separation in the brow right there, in the brow, that kind of V shape right there, I mean, that a lot of companies, you know, have trouble of making that accurate. And again, the quills, speaking of the quills, inside the boxes there's like a small bag with extra quills, just in case you break some. So you have some for the head and some for like the chest or arms, if ever you break them, because again, I don't think they're gonna break easily. They're like a soft vinyl material that are glued to the body, but just in case, be very careful. And again, I like how they put the netting on. If you watch like the Predator reunion cast, it's not cast like the what's called Stan Winston's guy, sorry, who pretty much worked on the suit. One of the guys said that when he applied the netting, he actually glued it on the suit on some strategic points. So it's pretty much right there. That was glued on the actual suit from the movie. And actually Prime 1 took that liberty. In some of the areas this thing is glued, so it's very, I guess, movie accurate. I'm not sure if they were aware of that detail, but the suit is not quite loose. If you look towards the end of the movie, like the netting on here was actually ripped in the movie, and there's actually behind the scenes something fun that happened. One of the bats in the jungle where they were filming in Mexico actually got stuck inside the netting on the leg, which was kind of funny. So yeah, that's a movie magic right there for you guys. Again, you have the nice scorpion, which you can put pretty much wherever you want on the base. And again, having the unmasked look, what I can do is take the separate mask right there. Again, this is the detailed version. Like I said, the batteries go on the back. You have that removable compartment. But again, amazing. You have the wires right there. You can pretty much put whatever you want. I would be very cautious not to, like, scratch the base. So again, I would put just mine right there, next to the rock. Again, be very gentle. Just put it right there, for instance. And now you can have the full look, where you can remove that. Again, you can also remove the backpack, which I'm going to show you guys here in a second, if you want to make it more movie accurate towards the end of the movie. So yeah. Okay, so if you want to recreate the end of the movie look, they also included this piece right here. If you want to remove the backpack, again, that's held pretty much with that peg only, which is insane. So again, let's put this here. I never put this in here before. Hopefully it's not going to be too difficult. If I can just align everything, and then boom, that's pretty flush right there, as you can see. Again, it's a little bit weird seeing this guy with no backpack. I guess it would be actually easier if you actually put the heads on without the backpack, especially the unmasked one. I think it's gonna be a little bit easier. So let me just take the camera on the back and show you some of the details here, because there's a lot to see on the back. Again, you can see how the the trophies go on the back. It's pretty much like a bandolier across this neck. You can see all the crazy details. Look at the size of the bicep right there, and the triceps. Again, that leg right there is a pain in the ass, but I was lucky enough to do it without damaging the the actual statue. You can see the armor right there. I think also in the movie, when you kind of first see him, he was kind of patching himself after being shot. There was also some quills around his thighs right there, which is not a big deal again. But yeah, fantastic. I really like the armor on this guy. Very awesome. And here's a look at the spine right there, Billy's spine. Again, fantastic piece, this one. You can see how nasty it is. All the bits. You can see they've added like some blood to his hand, because previously this was pretty clean. So it didn't make sense to have like a clean hand. You can see there that's some blood. And again, the details on the hands. You have the gloves right there, the leather effect, the shininess of the skin, and the whole spine right there. It's just nasty. And again, I had the opportunity to also buy the Berserker Predator from the same guy. So Alex, if you're watching this, thank you very much. But I had to decline his offer, because again, where would I put another one of these? Plus, like, the Berserker is like almost 4 inches tall, so we were pretty much hitting the ceiling. Plus an extra 3 boxes. Again, I'm running out of room. So again, if I would had like a bigger room, or maybe even a basement, I would have definitely purchased that one. So who knows, maybe I'm gonna regret that down the line. So who knows. Again, my whole dream is to get all of them, having pretty much all of them. Maybe not the AVP ones, but a City Hunter, Berserker, Scar, and you know, Wolf. I mean, Jesus Christ, that would be an epic display right there. But yeah, this one also was part of the deluxe, which I think it's a must. I mean, you know, you cannot have a Predator without the trophy. So yeah, awesome piece here to have. And also part of the DX bonus, you have some extra fists. What I like about these are kind of more, I guess, movie accurate, because as you can see, the design of the glove have these like pointy fingers, and the issue with that, obviously, to be more realistic, Kevin Peter Hall could not do like this while having his hand inside the glove, which is actually not realistic because he would have poked himself with the with the fingernails. So actually, what he did a lot of times, even in Predator 2, he would do like this gesture right there, which is what Prime 1 did here with the DX bonus hands, which I think is pretty cool. So again, you have two of these, which again is part of the DX bonus, but the details on the hands are like second to none. They are fantastic. Some of the best sculpts I've seen in hands. Again, these are massive, you know. Again, you have the nice metal right there. Some spikes. But again, the details, wow. And you have some strong magnets for each hand, which is very nice. Just taking a closer look at the body, there's like these green veins all across. Wow. Again, you cannot get this level of detail even with Hot Toys, unless if they kind of make like a core scale version of their Jungle Hunter, which they kind of teased years ago. But again, this is just insane. You can kind of see another vein right there. Wow, this is perfection, guys. Okay, so when it comes to the wrist blades, again we have 4 options, and what I like about this, you can actually remove them all together, and sometimes in the movie you kind of see the gauntlet like this with no wrist blades, which is kind of, I guess it's not consistent. Same thing they did with the Predator 2, but again, let's look at the shorter ones, these stubby ones. Again, you can kind of wedge them inside there. They kind of look actually very goofy. So let me give me guys here a second to put this one. They kind of magnetize in place, but not really. There you go. Again, so that's that look right there, which again he had in the movie. And then you have the medium look, the large look, which I actually prefer. And again, these are die cast. Then you have the extra large ones, guys, which you see at the end of the movie when it was kind of, you know, after Arnold, he was kind of, you know, his head was kind of in between these two ones inside the log. I mean, these are kind of interesting. They look out of place, kind of like that. Again, it's a very nice inclusion. Even Hot Toys included this, but I will never display this guy with the wrist blades. But again, they are die cast. They are very heavy, so that's a very nice detail. Again, this is pretty much like my favorite weapon of the Predators. I think it's very unique. How you almost have these, you know, knives coming out of the gauntlet. It was my favorite look as a kid. So having all the options, this is a very big plus. So when it comes to the hands, you can either have him with his open hands like this. Again, the sculpt is excellent. I think this looks very menacing. Again, the hands are easy to take out. They have a very strong magnet. As you can see right there, the details, again, second to none, guys. Very big. Again, with this one, so again, putting the other hand in, which is again more movie accurate, with the thumb kind of sticking out like that. You just take this one and it's gonna magnetize. I think on this side they are a little bit easier to take out, but on this side the magnet is a little bit stronger. But again, these are not gonna fail. And as you can see, this thing is just, I mean, I cannot say how badass this thing looks right here in my collection, guys. Wow, like the little kid in me is just freaking out right now. It's not even funny. As usual, I'm losing my voice, I'm losing my mind. It's just the perfection, guys. Man, that head sculpt. I think I'm gonna keep this one in for a couple of days. That's how I like this one. But wow. And then you also have two of these, again more conventional, I guess, fists that come with the regular edition. Again, the regular edition you have these and then those two, and again the deluxe has the spine, and if you get the bonus one you have these two extra fists right there with the thumbs kind of like that. So again, perfection. Oh hey, and then you also have the logos. I think this one is the one that comes with the regular edition, so you pretty much have this Predator logo here. This has a metal plaque, so you pretty much have like a metal strip right there which is glued to the resin. Again, pretty heavy. I like this one as well, but I think the one that most people are gonna be interested in is gonna be the deluxe here, which has your standard Predator lettering right there. It's kind of raised. It's very cool. You have the small bars underneath each letter, pretty much like the movie title. So yeah, having these, you have multiple options. Again, I not necessarily recommend you putting them here, especially mine has like a rotating table, so you know it can fall on the ground. Would have been cool if they would have been magnetized in the front. I think this would have added a little bit more, but I mean, as is, you can pretty much put them whatever you want. So I chose to put one of each on each side, you know, the display here. I think it looks fantastic. Okay guys, so in conclusions, I mean, what more can I tell about this masterpiece here, this magnificent creature designed by Stan Winston. I was so upset when Stan died in 2008. I remember I was in high school. At the beginning of high school, I was doing like a history exam, and then when I got home I saw that on the internet. I was so devastated, because obviously Stan Winston was responsible for making some of the best creatures in Hollywood, including the Predator, the Alien Warrior, the Alien Queen, Terminator, some dinosaur from Jurassic Park. I mean, he did so, interesting and then so, unique creatures that I will remember for the rest of my life. And he was pretty much part of me growing up, as, I was pretty much inspired, by Stan to become an artist today myself, a 3D artist, working the video game industry. So yeah, Stan, had a great importance me when I growing up, and again I become accustomed of his work, what he was doing, pretty much adding these amazing creatures, to cinema. So again, Stan, thank you very much for what you did. You will be remembered forever. So yeah, again, what can I say about this whole statue? Again, I'm not a statue collector per se, but this one was very welcomed in my collection. Again, I prefer to collect. I think less is more. What I mean by that is the presence of this is a lot better than having 20 Hot Toys figures, in my opinion at least. I think the whole execution with the base is fantastic. Again, the only thing that would have been different, that they could have changed, is the way you put, the pegs in. I think that's a little bit risky. You can damage your statue if you're doing that by yourself. I think the clear resin on the base, as you can see right there, the reflection looks very nice, looks very realistic. The whole sculpture of the base is very nice. Again, would have been cool if those elements right there on the tree would have been a different color, or add more detail, because again it's a little bit sloppy. But again, the tree trunk is very nice. You obviously have the dog tags, all the leaves that bring more realism to the piece. I like the whole, you get a plethora of swap outs here, because again, this is the deluxe bonus. Again, I like this one, obviously very nostalgic. This is the prototype head. So yeah, man, I mean, this from head to toe is a masterpiece. I cannot really complain. I like the details, the proportions. I think it's respected. So again, a big question here: how much did I pay for this? I paid about $2,700 all in. Obviously, I did give a little bit extra to Alex, because he dropped this to my home. So I give a little bit of extra because he had like a 5-hour drive back and forth. So again, a big huge thanks to you, Alex. So I mean, a retail price, this one was like $3,000 from Prime 1, or $3,500 from Sideshow. And then from Prime 1, I heard some collectors saying that the shipping was like $1,600, which is insane. So again, I was lucky that I was able to find mine locally. I saved a lot of money, and that's pretty much one of the reasons that I jump on this guy. I save a lot of money, and because again, I think I'm the third owner of this guy. The guy before Alex, who bought it, I think he paid like between, I don't know, 6,000 or 7,000 grand Canadian, which is insane, guys. Obviously with tax, shipping, import fees, which is like 20% sometime of the actual value, so that's insane. Again, this one was numbered 99 out of 999. That's for the DX bonus. And then there's the DX, which I think it's either 500 or 400. I'm gonna put the numbers on the screen. And then there's obviously the regular one, which doesn't come with that much goodies. But again, so either way, either version you guys are getting, you're gonna be blown away. If this is your first statue, your first Prime 1, I think Prime 1 again, in terms of attention to details, it's second to none. On a lot of elements on the figure, they went back and they resculpted some of the things, like on the gauntlets, the face, the position of the cannon, some of the hands. I think the size of these were readjusted, the backpack and everything. So I don't know a lot of companies that actually do that. So that's very cool. So again, guys, thanks for watching this video. Again, this is my dream come true here. I finally have a Hunter scale Predator statue in my collection, and boy do I want to buy more of these. So hopefully, who knows, in the future I definitely want to get like the City Hunter and everything. Else the Wolf, the Berserker, I think those are gonna be so nice additions. So who knows, maybe again, I wasn't supposed to get this guy, but sometimes when everything aligns, you work hard, and I was able to afford it, so that's fantastic. Again, give me guys a like here if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel, is gonna help. We're close to 3,000 subscribers. Just 1 year after me creating a channel, is doing quite well. So thanks for the support, guys. See you soon. Talk to you on the next video. Take care, guys. Bye bye.